Mhm.
It's easy enough. But yeah, look, let's kick in. You weren't around last week, so I don't know how you felt about 5 and 6, but let's talk about Daredevil. We've got 3 episodes to go through. What did you think about episode 5? I'm gonna apologize off the bat because I know I can remember episode 5, but for some reason I'm kind of blanking on what happened in episode 6. So maybe you could refresh me on episode 6, because obviously I watched them a week ago, but I watched them like right away, like back to back, like probably
Yeah.
most people did. 5 is sticking out to me because it was kind of like a side quest mission. It was like a little like DLC kind of off the bat side quest, which I know a lot of people. I was kind of reading a lot about it online. I always go onto Twitter to kind of see what the fan base is saying, and like a lot of people didn't seem to like the episode, and it was I enjoyed it. I thought 5 was kind of cool. Like it was, and not just because there was like loads of Irish people in it, but I thought it was cool because it was nice to just see like Matt Murdock get in trouble and like fix a solution as a blind man rather than, you know, coming back as Daredevil and bursting into the thing. And it just kind of felt
Yeah.
nice. It felt different.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, I can understand why some people would not find the episode to be like appealing.
Mhm.
And I think I understand why. And correct me if I'm wrong, audience. Like, I think that episode should have been episode 1.
That would have been quite nice actually.
I think the design of that episode really would fit the schema of like kind of the return of this character and how we would essentially like see Matt coming into the bank and he's talking about, getting a loan, and obviously Kamala's father is there, which is a nice nod to Miss Marvel. I think that really
Yeah.
works well because it shows that like yes, there are some people like from Jersey that like have to go into New York and or like Hell's Kitchen and
Yeah.
essentially do their work. And so when you see him show up, it's like, oh, that's cool. So okay, so it's around this time. We already know that what's been going on. He's already saying that Miss Marvel is a thing, and so like it's a
She's on the
really
West
cool nod.
Coast meeting some friends. Did you
Yeah.
catch that?
Yeah. So like
I was like, "Oh, Alex is gonna like that one."
yeah, like obviously they're going to be like from what I understand, they might
Young
be,
Avengers.
either doing the Young Avengers or even like maybe possibly doing the West Coast Avengers.
Yeah.
Who knows? But either way, it was just a nice little nod. It felt great because it was fluid. Everybody loves that fucking character. Like her family is actually well received. They do a pretty good
I think the
job.
family are better received than she is. Strangely
In
enough.
some in some cases, I still like her. I still think that
Yeah.
she's a great character. I just think that they didn't give her enough to work with in terms of like her powers or what kind of like responses that she should give, and like she's still young, so like
Yeah.
we still have to kind of gauge it as like she's still learning. We have to give her some leeway. It's just the storyline for the show itself for Miss Marvel didn't really end well, so like it kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, but other than that I still like the character.
Yeah.
But anyways, like, so if that were a first episode, how awesome would that be? Because considering that St. Patty's Day and the Irish and all that dealing going on, and just like you said, Matt, being a blind man, being just a lawyer who happens to be there, who's basically going to save the day, like keeping it under wraps that he's actually a hero. And then like credits, you go to the next episode, and I would say like even if we go into Muse, we kind of get into this, like it would be cool if it was set up as more of a, I would say like a daily dose of Daredevil in a sense. Like when
Yeah.
we, in the next episode, it really feels like it's just there's a new villain in town and they're killing people and they're bloodletting them, and his name is Muse and whatnot. Like, and he's been debating about putting on the suit for some time because it's been kind of quiet. And then you see Fisk around, and it would have to change the dynamic of like how Fisk comes into the world as the mayor. But like I think it would work in terms of like him just going like fuck, because remember he goes fuck it and he puts on the suit and he goes out and he goes to basically attack Muse. But like I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but basically just I like the idea of it turning into a kind of like a slow burn, but like a good burn,
Yeah.
because then we get like the action, we get the feelings from Matt and the seasoning and whatnot. Especially like during the bank scenes when he's conversing with like with the guys, and they're negotiating. The cops outside are negotiating. They're not aware of what Matt's trying to do. He's trying to save everyone as best as possible. And it all works out. Like, and we even see like that brief moment of him putting on like a mask, but it was like one of the villains' masks, which I thought was kind of like a cool nod.
Oh, dude, that fucking leg break was insane.
It was
even though
really
I've seen it like 10 times, just watching it in the show, I was like, oh, good. It's just so vicious, man. It's crazy. It's great. I love it.
Yeah.
I think you're on the right track, man. To be honest, like episode 1 of this show put a bad taste in my mouth because it was just Foggy dying straight away, and the CGI was pretty shit. It was just off to a very rough kind of first 15-20 minutes of the show. It did kind of start to level out and get better, and honestly, I see a lot of people kind of saying that this show's boring and it's kind of shitty, and Dan in the chat's not really liking it too much, and I can kind of understand that, but at the same time, I always kind of said if the show was 50% as good as the Netflix show, I'd be happy. And honestly, it's not as good as the Netflix show. Like, I think we can all agree on that. But it is good. It's good, like, and I think for a Disney production and like a Disney Plus production, I think it is probably one of the best things that they've put out like so far, and it's not even over yet,
Yeah.
But I did have a problem with episode 1, and what you've just said there about maybe putting this episode as episode 1, and then like I think what would be a really good idea if they did do this as episode 1, we kind of just run into Maddie's just himself, and then he gets in a spot of trouble, and it's like, oh, I still have it, but at that point you don't know that he's not mad anymore. So then maybe like episode 2 is like a flashback, and then they just play episode 1 sort of thing, and then we realize why he is just Matt Murdock in the bank. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
make it pay off a little bit better or something. And then as well, with the fact that they had the first 2 episodes on the release day, you get to the end of like maybe I don't know if they restructured the episode slightly, and then you get to the end of episode 2, and then Foggy dies, and then you have a week break. Like, I think that would have just been like, what the fuck? Like, what a kickoff! Like for week 1, like you see,
yeah, exactly.
You see all that happen, and then obviously they can go about the show the rest of the way as it happened. I liked obviously all the Kamala stuff. I thought it was pretty cool. I knew it was her dad straight away, and then I saw the bobblehead on the counter and everything. I was like, oh, this is clever. I like this. And obviously it connects it to the MCU and stuff like that, which is good. Obviously we need more of that. The connective tissue, even this show as well, still kind of feels a little strange. And I'll talk about episode 7 in a little bit, but I just feel like there should be maybe a little bit more connective tissue than there is. Like, we are deep into the MCU right now, and like there's not really, like, I know we got a slight mention of a guy in a spider suit, and that was kind of it. But like, they don't seem to be talking about like the Avengers or anything like that. Like, and there seems to be a big deal that the Daredevil is back. Like, it's like, you've got Spider-Man floating around the city. Like, like realistically, would you really give that much of a shit about Daredevil? Like, he's a street level character. I think like it wouldn't be like as big of a shock. It's like, oh my god, Daredevil's back. It just feels a bit strange. I don't know if it's like poor writing or what, but it just kind of feels like if I was like, let's imagine we lived in that world, right? And like people were like, oh my god, Daredevil's back. He's been spotted on the streets of New York. Like, at this stage where the MCU is, would you really care that much? It's like the president just turned into a Hulk. You've got alien hands coming out of the earth. Thanos snapped away half of reality. It's come back. The Avengers, all this mad shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, there's a guy who's like a superhero, yes, but like in the eyes of the rest of the superheroes, like you've got literal gods coming to the earth. Like, you know what I mean? It's like there's the Asgardians like live on Earth now. Like, you know what I mean? It just feels like it shouldn't be as kind of magical that Daredevil has returned as it is. It just feels a bit strange to me, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. I don't know if they're really taking into consideration what's happening in the rest of the MCU right now. Because to me, that wouldn't really be as big of a deal as it is. Like, your one's record at the window, and it's like, oh, the smashed window, and it's like, oh yeah, Daredevil was there. It's like, and like, okay, cool. Did we not see the fucking president turn into a fucking villain right there? Like, it's just, I don't know, man. It feels a bit strange.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but locally I would understand that it's definitely more on the side of like, locally he's very popular, but outside the world, yeah, I get that. You like it would be kind of weird though to really undermine him, considering that it's his show. Like, I don't think most actors would want that.
I definitely understand that, but
Yeah.
I think what I'm trying to say is like, again, we're not in Hell's Kitchen for this show anymore. He doesn't live in Hell's Kitchen anymore, so this show doesn't take place in Hell's Kitchen anymore. He's living like in like Midtown or whatever now. Like he's just in the city, right?
Mhm.
And like Fisk isn't in Hell's Kitchen. Like they say it at the start of the show. They're like, "Oh, I haven't been to Hell's Kitchen in quite a while now," and blah blah blah. It feels weird to be back here. So, if you're talking about just New York as a city, like realistically, I know the spell happened and people don't know who Peter Parker is, but like random people still know who Spider-Man is. Like Spider-Man still, saved the fucking world basically. So I think like everyone would be like, holy shit, like, Spider-Man is like New York's superhero. Like, he's been to space, he's an Avenger, blah blah blah. It's like Daredevil's just a street level dude. Talk to me about this week's episode of Daredevil, because I know we fucking shot off for about a half an hour there on crazy stuff. But what did you think of episode 7?
I thought it was
The
pretty good.
fresh episode.
Yeah, I thought it went pretty well. I think that it's, in my opinion, gone a little bit slower for some reason. Like in my head, I'm like, it feels like it should be like a faster pace, kind of like, you know, action, but it just felt very like one-sided, and it ended so quickly. And then we just have this kind of like aftermath, and this feeling like Muse was just introduced for one episode and now he's dead.
I couldn't believe that Muse died. I was in shock, bro. I was in shock. I
So
thought,
bad.
like, when you saw him getting shot and stuff, I was like, surely that's not him dead, right? Because, like, I'm like, who's like, what's going to happen with the last 2 episodes? Like, I've seen a lot of like the scoopers and stuff saying that the last 2 episodes are like newly written and they're like the new show, and this is kind of the end of like the original script and stuff. And in that sense, yeah, fine, okay, that makes sense. But like killing off the main villain at the end of episode 7 and then having 8 and 9, like, what is he going to be fighting Kingpin again in the last 2 episodes? Like, what's exactly going to happen? Or I presume Castle's going to come back and something's going to happen. Maybe they just like really just leave us on a cliffhanger to go into season 2 or something. I don't really know. But the pacing of it felt strange. I actually did like the episode. I just felt like it started off pretty slow and then it ramped up like crazy and then just ended. And I was like, oh shit, like what the fuck? It was a weirdly paced episode. I saw a lot of
Mhm.
people saying it was like a boring episode and stuff. I don't think it was boring. Like, I think it was definitely interesting. I liked like the therapy sessions and stuff like that. And obviously Matt coming to save the day was cool. And I love the stuff at the very end with like Vanessa and Kingpin. And you're kind of led to believe that she's putting a hit out on Kingpin, but I don't think she is. But maybe she is. Like, there's this whole kind of back and forth. Like, we don't really know what's going on. Um, I think we're kind of meant to believe that she's after just putting a hit out on him, but I think that was all planned. To be honest, I think the text that she sent was actually sent to Kingpin instead. How did you perceive that? Like, did you perceive it as Vanessa was trying to get Kingpin killed, or do you think that Vanessa was texting Kingpin to get the Irish guy killed because he's not actually paying attention? He's talking about going rogue.
Probably. It's hard to say, considering that I believe Vanessa knows that like the person that she slept with was dead, essentially. Excuse me. Um, it, it's hard. It really is hard to say, considering like they kind of like transitioned it perfectly well to give that obscurity. But I do like the idea that maybe she did put a hit out, and now it's like a feeling of like she's going to try to betray him no matter
Yeah.
what now, because like he promised not to do anything to that other guy. I can't remember his name.
So like
And
Alex
she
or
knows he did.
Alan or Andy or something.
Yeah, Alan. I think it's Alan. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, it's an A
Yeah.
name anyway.
Yeah. And it like I think it worked out pretty well. So but like if it's not and she's just trying to weed out anybody that's trying to get ahead of him. I think that's also a good move as well. I think I really like this. Adam, thank you.
Adam. Yes, yes, yes.
I appreciate that. It really it creates a fine line between what could be and what is, and I really like stuff like that. It really shows like it puts you on your toes. It makes you feel like you have absolutely no idea what's going to happen next, because for all we know, Vanessa is not angry at Kingpin, but like at the same time, maybe they can't trust each other anymore, but he's willing to hold on to her regardless, because he prefers his possessions to be his. He doesn't want anybody else to play with his toys, essentially.
So
he wants the full control.
When we were watching the episode, I kind of turned to her at the end and I was like, do you think Kingpin knows that Vanessa has just put a hit out on him? And she's like, no, I think that she, like, me and her had different views of it, which is why I wanted to get your thoughts on it. So, like, my understanding was that I think that Vanessa actually did try and put the hit out on Fisk. And I think that Fisk is sitting there and going like, send some home to Vanessa, like as in like, I know what you tried to do, but I'm still playing sweet with you, sort of thing. Because I think like it's a weird one, right? Because I kind of felt like we were watching an episode of like Sopranos or something when that was all happening. I was like fucking loving it. I thought it was great. And then I think that we're like, so I think like with shows like this, they expect the crowd, like the audience, they expect the audience to see what's developing, but look at it a different way. So like, we see it, her texting, and we see your man driving off, and we're to think that she's texting him. And then, that's what we're naturally meant to think is going to happen. So I think naturally the crowd will go the other way with it. But I think it'll be interesting if it actually was just the way that they were trying to perceive it, if that makes sense. So I think that maybe Fisk is like, knows exactly what's coming, and he kind of was waiting for a bit of a retaliation from Vanessa. And now he's kind of poking fun at her, like, oh, I hope you're okay, babe. I'm just sending you home some food. I'll be home soon. That sort of thing. And he's playing mind games with her now.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. So, but I think a lot of people think as well that Vanessa was actually texting Kingpin saying he's coming alone, blah, blah, blah. And that's why they had the shooter sitting there waiting and so on. So it could be either or, like, but I don't know. I'm excited. That has really kind of lit a fire under me to see where the whole storyline goes. But at the same time, I fucking hate that the characters are in this situation, because it just feels very out of character for them. Do you know what I mean? Like I like the second I heard that Vanessa slept with somebody else, I've been against the story since then, because I just felt like it just didn't feel like those two characters. Like, in the original show, she's in fucking Europe living like with bodyguards all around her for years while he's locked up and stuff, and she just sits there and waits for him, and she's, gets back to him, and just they get married straight away. It's like straight back into it, like love at first sight, would do or die for each other. And now it just seems like like he again disappears to recover from a headshot wound, and she goes off and fucks somebody else. It just feels weird, I don't know.
I agree.
And I don't know what the aim of it is. Is it like, oh, she's the girl boss now and she can fuck whoever she wants and she's the king and all this? I don't know what they're trying to turn Vanessa into, but it'd be interesting to see, is it actually going to, are they going to double down on that, or are they actually going to make it feel like that's where we were going, and then they kind of steer the ship back to the way it should be, and the two of them are actually looking out for each other, and they're trying to weed out the gangs and stuff who might be trying to go against them, and they're trying to thin the herd to get everyone back in line with Kingpin. That's kind of where I hope it's going, but I suppose we have to wait and see what's coming next. Yo, Andre, what's up, dude? How are you? Yeah, I don't know.
It really is hard to tell.
Yeah, it is. Todd thinks she set the dude up. Yeah, I think so. Like it's so hard to know, but I need to see more.
But that's the cool thing, is like it creates that sense of like, oh my god, I need to know what actually happened, why it happened. And I think that's what makes the episode so great at the end, is the fact that like it's just this obscure feeling of like, oh fuck, like are they mad at each other? Like, is she mad at him, or was she just trying to protect him? Essentially, like,
Yeah.
or help him out, basically weed out anybody that would oppose him, just like you said.
Yeah. Andre, I appreciate you listening, dude. Thank you. Um, Todd says here there's a shot of it from the trailers of Fisk and Vanessa in Fisk's man cave. I must rewatch it. I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm very curious to see. Like, again, I feel like the start of the episode and the end of the episode have two completely different tones. They feel like they have two different fucking scripts. It feels like two different writing. Like, I don't know if you feel that way, but like the stuff with Muse felt a bit weak, and then obviously they just kill him off, and now it's like we're getting into this like kind of like crime fucking syndicate storyline now with like Fisk and stuff, and it feels like two different shows. You know,
Mhm.
it's really strange. So it's going to be interesting to see now if all the leakers and stuff are right about the last two episodes being from a new script. I feel like we're kind of stepping into that now. Um, but like I don't know, like man, like some of the writing at the start of the show was just kind of silly to me. Like I understand like Matt has all these kind of like powers and stuff, but like the bit where he's like feeling the drawings and he like feels his girlfriend's face in a picture. Like me and my girlfriend laughed at that. I was just like, come on, like I was like, the dude's a good artist, but like he's not gonna be able to draw her face so perfectly that he's like, oh my god, that's my girlfriend drawn on this piece of paper. Like I thought that was fucking ridiculous. Like I know he's a superhero, but come on, bro. I was like, that just like shattered like my fucking like view of it. Like it was just so silly. And then like when he's like drawn with the blood on the page, and he was like picking his nose when his nose started bleeding, but like he's drawn a full picture in blood, like there was a tiny drop on his face. It's just shit
Mhm.
like that. That was I just felt it felt like real weak writing to me. And then we get to the end of the episode and it just does a full 180 and it just turns into this fucking amazing like show in the last 10 minutes. Like I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's just I think I'm hoping next week's episode stays on this pace now. And then like, maybe we get some crazy like kind of gang war happening and then the anti-task force come in and they're wearing the Punisher logos and shit, and then Frank sees all that and he gets pissed off and comes in or something. Like I presume that's how we get him into the end of the show. I don't know. I don't know. I think he's gonna need to do something to help Daredevil. Like, because I think we've seen set photos and stuff of the two of them standing beside each other. So I presume there's going to be some sort of street fight and they help each other out somehow.
Which will be nice. Like it'll be
Yeah.
good to see more than just like them conversing, get some
Yeah.
action in.
It feels really strange. And I don't know if like again I didn't even read this comment till now, but like yes, I absolutely Andre says like would have appreciated a bit more Punisher to be honest, and like 100%. Like I think you bring Castle back, and what for one little rugged scene where he's in like some like basement or something. I don't even know where he was. Like he's rented out some space, and I don't even know where the fuck he was. It looked like he was under a subway station or something like that. It was bizarre like location wherever the fuck he is. But yeah,
Mhm.
like to do all that to like not even bring him back is a bit strange. And like we know he's getting his own showcase, obviously, so maybe like I don't think that that's it. I think we're going to get another episode with him, whether it's next week's episode or I don't know if are they doing two for the finale. So there's only 1 week left. I think next week is it, if I'm not mistaken.
Which I hope so, because that'd be great. I would love to have all of it in one package.
Bro, if we could get an hour and a half of of the same vibe as the last 10 minutes of this week's episode, that'd be like a Daredevil movie, and it'd be fucking wild. I would love that. Yeah, I'm down for that. It's weird to me that people are hung up on Matt feeling the painting. He can hear Foggy on the phone 10 blocks away. I understand. Is like, yeah, no, look, I think I understand like that Matt has all these powers, and he can smell what people ate 3 days ago. But it's like, I don't know if like feeling like an oil painting and going, "That's my girlfriend." Like that felt a bit far fetched to me. You know, I don't know.
Eh,
Like
it it's hard to kind of tell. I mean, but like he has
it's
all these.
superhero TV. I know. Look, I again, maybe like I'm thinking a little too much on this, but it just when that happened, I'm letting people know my initial reactions to when I see
Yeah,
these things.
of
And like when
course.
I first saw that, like me and my girlfriend both laughed and we went, "What the fuck was that? Like, what the hell?" Like I could kind of understand like when you see him as a kid and he's learning to use his powers and Stick is showing him to like you could smell that kid's eating ice cream and like he's like I can hear that dog is hungry and stuff and like that makes sense because like he has these like abnormal senses like smell and hearing and stuff and he obviously learns to tailor them, but like I don't know if like was he able to like touch paintings and like feel his girlfriend's face? It just felt weird to me. That's all. Um, you know, we have seen in the original show even like he'll like kind of run his hand over like actual writing and not braille and still be able to read it. So like that's kind of how sensitive his touch is, and
Mm.
that's fine. That's acceptable, I suppose. But I just thought it was a bit strange that like because again like the painting didn't even like it kind of looked like her, but it wasn't like a picture of her. You know what I mean? So that could have been anybody. You know. But he's just like, oh no, I don't even know what his girlfriend's name is. Like, it's irrelevant. But
I could just picture you seeing that moment and you're going, unacceptable.
it wasn't even. It wasn't that it was unacceptable. It was just made me laugh. I just thought it was absolutely ridiculous. You know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, I get
Okay,
that. Like,
I love Matt Murdock. I love Daredevil. I love Charlie Cox. This is like I've been saying this for fucking months and months. This has been like my most anticipated thing ever. But I just felt like there was some bad writing in that episode, and a, it's been a bit of a bumpy ride. Like there's been some great parts, and there's been some kind of shitty parts, but for the most part, I'm very happy that they've made this show. You know, I obviously want to see season two. Like I think
mm,
2026, we have season two of this show. We have Doomsday. We have Spider-Man 4. Like next year is going to be absolutely like rammed with some of like what could be my favorite MCU content ever. So I'm very thankful that it's all happening. I'll call crazy or bullshit or funny when I see it, you know. Hey guys, this is Finto. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe and like, and let us know in the comments what you think below. See you in the next one. Bye bye.